Welcome to Le Musée d'Art du Togo Love. I am Dr. Ryan Vandemere, primary curator of the exhibit you are about to enter. As your humble narrator, I shall offer insight as to what really goes on here within our museum. To begin with, Le Musée d'Art du Togo Love is a grand adventure for young and old. Indeed, it is listed by many tour guides and travel agencies as one of their clients' favorite places to visit. Once its visitors enter through its doors, they are instantly transported to another world that does not currently exist upon Earth nor anywhere else. As a master of psychological realism, our beloved Maestro Togo relies upon the 60 years of traditional skills he has acquired as an artist, while utilizing 21st century tools to produce his recent works, including this series, A Day at the Museum. As for his style, Togo insists that both his title and ancillary story or commentary behind each picture is as much a part of each work as the image. Now, shall we begin? If you should just follow me this way. That's it, please watch your step. Our first work of art for today is a rather sad story. It's titled, A Recent Acquisition Finds a New Home in the Hall of Lost Souls. As you can see, members of our outstanding staff are hanging a new work here in the Hall of Lost Souls. It is not a recent painting by Togo, but a newly acquired work which hadn't been seen for 2 decades. Its owner wished to remain anonymous. What I can say about the work is that the girl in the picture holding up the sign with the number on it is probably a Romanian sex slave who had been stolen from her family some years ago by the Russian mob and brought to northern Spain. The number is merely her catalogue number for potential buyers to choose which women they'd like to purchase, or bid for in online auctions. One buyer, a well-known but corrupt billionaire businessman and drug smuggler working with South American cartels, was arrested by Interpol. They found his private catalogue of slaves through the years, and his depravity was blasted all over the European press many years ago. Togo had seen a photo of this girl with her slight smile holding her number, and he was deeply moved by it. No one knew her name or her fate. He felt that he should memorialize 2888 in his art. Sadly, the business of sex slavery, which began at the dawn of mankind, still thrives more than ever in our modern, sophisticated world. It is true naivete to think that an end will come to it sometime soon. The artist's unofficial biographer claims he fathered 2 of her children. Whenever a male in almost any profession or vocation becomes famous and wealthy, the claims of illegitimate parenthood by a former lover are of paramount concern. When such a problem multiplies to several lovers and children, such as with Picasso, it is up to the male to recognize his offspring as his own and, at times, pass his name if not his fortune, legally onto the child if not the child's mother. In Togo's case, there became so many claims by former lovers and, not to mention from women unknown to him, that the problem became overwhelming. He did not care if the gossip magazines blasted his name across their front pages, accompanied with plenty of photos of him and 2 women frolicking naked on the beach in Ibiza, or laying about naked at poolside with his biographer in Hollywood, or snapshots of him and a beautiful Italian curator wrestling naked within a fountain in Rome, and so forth and so on. But he has always tried his best to avoid courts and judges and lawyers and red tape, which is understandable given his own history that rivals Casanova. Whenever a woman had claimed him to be the father of her child, or children, he then invited them to live with him in his sprawling 18th-century farm in southern France. There he raised all of his children and grandchildren, to whom he shall one day leave his vast fortune and warehouses of his artworks. Meanwhile, he appeased most of his former lovers until they chose to leave to carry on their lives elsewhere, with or without their progeny. But, like all of his models and assistants, they are always free to return. Some will live out the rest of their lives there with the aging maestro. Currently, Togo is not legally married and, at his age, he does not entertain such a consideration. He does not need all the legalese that makes a business out of one's life. Too distracting. There's not enough time left to his existence, and there is still much work to be done. One stipulation, however, he did make to all of his lovers and children. There will be no DNA tests. In his eyes, all of the children are equals. Inheritance of bloodline and money may be deciding statutory factors in some families, but not in Togo's. Our next picture tells a sad tale. It is titled, Believe It or Not. While gazing at this work, Lord Ballsworthy fell out of love with his wife. The maestro had been familiar with the Ballsworthy name since he was a boy, when Lord Simon Ballsworthy had been a frequent visitor to the Parisian brothel of Togo's mother. Togo has even intimated that Lord Simon had preferred his own mother's services during each visit. How long the Lord had been making such visits, Togo does not know nor wish to speculate about any sort of royal ancestry in his own blood. However, this picture relates to the time when Lord Simon's grandson, Godfrey Ballsworthy, had indeed taken one look at this portrait titled Sandra and immediately became so obsessed with her, that he divorced his wife and then spent the family's fortune attempting to find Sandra herself. But the portrait had been painted nearly 40 years earlier, and since the subject was a prostitute, she may have used a false name. Alas, 9 years later, when Lord Godfrey had finally given up his pursuit, he was broken in spirit and in fortune and just plain broken-hearted. He shut himself away within the run-down remains of Ballsworthy Manor without electricity nor running water. To this day it is not known if he still remains there. This one reminds Tessa of her father. Once a beautiful creation by the hand of man, once a thing of purpose and usefulness to its creator, now, old and broken, discarded and disabled, it no longer functions as it was intended. Its bones bent, its smooth skin turned to crusty rust, while its carcass insists on remaining to remind us of former times and of times to come, world without end, Amen. Wait! Is it true that man can resurrect his sick and maimed and otherwise dead creation? Rebuild it from inside out? Give it legs to race around the track? A new skin is needed. Perhaps a midnight green with a fire engine red interior? A new heart, a new name, inject it with high-octane blood to give it life again. Then, when all is done, the resurrected and reconstructed creation is reintroduced into society to live and participate and compete with others which were once powerless, once abandoned and deserted by its original creators. Now, the old is new again. They are given additional life to the sound of wild applause and admiration by a new generation. Man destroys what he has created, but he also rebuilds, sometimes, even better than before. So, why can't God do something like that? Le Muse'e encourages future artists. Of course, Le Muse'e du Togo Love encourages our youth to explore and create their inner visions into true works of art as best as their present abilities can take them. Truth be told, many of those works can rival even the best of output from professional abstract artists. If young budding artists should need help in any way to achieve their goals, the museum provides plenty of help to do so. However, as we can see here, this child has taken another route to express herself in a somewhat destructive manner which is usually referred to as vandalism. Meanwhile, her parents had encouraged their child to continue her abuse while they video recorded it, laughing all the time. Should the child have been arrested for damaging an artwork worth $450,000? No, but her parents were. The trial date is still pending. I don't want art to imitate life. I want life to be art. So says the woman in this picture. Or shall we assume, so says the artist Togo Love? Sounds rather philosophical, or do I mean metaphysical? Allegorical, could that be the word I'm searching for? No? Does anyone here have any idea what is meant by that title? If so, please keep it to yourself, for time is fleeting and we must move on to the next room. Please follow me. Our next picture is titled, Prudence No Longer Prays for a Peaceful Planet. That is a damned shame if I may say so myself. I happen to know that she's been jailed many times over the years whenever protesting against whatever laws or lack of morals which she had thought needed revisions or total annihilation, particularly if they had anything to do with ignoring violence or promoting war. But, I suppose she's met with such failure in her pursuits that she's accepted defeat and can no longer carry on her quest for peace in this world of ours. Here we see Prudence staring into Togo's painting titled, 5 Peaceful Nudes Enjoying a Quiet Peaceful Sunday Morning in a Peaceful Meadow. However, I am afraid that the poor girl doesn't see that, or anything, at all. And now, my friends, I am sorry to say that our tour is over for today. Please come another day when we shall continue on our journey through Le Muse'e du Togo Love. Thank you for coming, and yes, restrooms are through those doors and to your right. Have a nice day.